It's your shadow. It is your shadow. I heard somebody say that you cannot outrun yourself. We could try, but we cannot outrun ourselves. It is your shadow. So if you want to be in the light, anticipate having a shadow. And if we once again think about that, that light could represent our objective. That light could represent our goals. That light could represent whatever level of success we want to achieve. That's what the light is. Just know that with that light comes a shadow. And what is that shadow? You know, that shadow could be our vices. That shadow could be our challenges. That shadow could represent wherever we have an insecurity, wherever we fall short. You know, so we need to identify our shadow. We need to at least be aware and be familiar with our shadows. We cannot continue moving in the light or moving towards the light and thinking that we do not have a shadow. That shadow is a part of us. If we actually were to go outside right now and it's a nice sunny day, okay, you're going to realize that if you look behind you, you're going to see something on the ground. It's going to be dark because a shadow is an absence. That darkness is an absence of light, but it's going to be shaped just like you, meaning it's a part of you. I'm not saying that we're dark. Let me be very clear, okay? And even speaking of being clear, you know, when light travels through something, remember, I'm a teacher, not a speaker, so something could be considered transparent when light travels through it. But what I was saying, when it deals with our darkness and saying that it has to be a part of us, we are not perfect. We have our shortcomings. You know, we're going to have a shadow if we're in the light. You know, if I move my hand, I'm not sure if you could see it, but I could create a shadow. I can create a shadow. How is a shadow formed? A shadow is formed by blocking light. Okay, so there are some things that are naturally about us, or there's certain things about us that we've acquired due to whatever environment we've been, whatever life experiences we have faced, whatever obstacles that we have been challenged with, that can create a shadow. You know, that those are things that can prevent light from traveling through us. So what happens is a shadow is formed because an opaque object, an object that does not allow light to pass through it, it gets in the way of the light. So it creates light from traveling through it. I mentioned what light is and what it can represent. Do not allow your shadow to prevent you from reaching the light or producing your light. You cannot outrun yourself. You need to have a better understanding of just yourself. You have to self-assess. You have to take some time. You could actually take assessments. You could take a DISC assessment. I believe it's a Myers-Briggs. There's other assessments, but we have to identify that we have flaws. That is the first step. That is your shadow. Your flaws, once again, your insecurity, your challenges, those are your shadows. And if we want to be in the light, if we want to reach or produce the light, just know that there's going to be a shadow. However, it's up to you whether you allow that shadow to take over your space. You know, the size and shape of a shadow depends on the position and size of the light source. Okay, so the brighter the light, okay, the bigger our goal. We could also anticipate a big shadow. To reach some of the things that we want to reach, I would love to say that it's going to be a walk in the park, but I want us to think about and identify who are individuals that we look up to, whether it's an actual person or organization that we're trying to mimic or we're influenced by. But whoever you deem as being successful, they could be a successful father or husband or wife or mother. They could be a successful business owner, a successful educator. You know, they could be financially successful. They could be somebody who master their mind, and they could be somebody who master their body in terms of physical fitness. The individuals that we look up to that have the brightest light, that produce the brightest light, the light that penetrates the furthest, The light that's so intense that when its particles come together, it does more than illuminate the room. It functions as a laser able to cut through steel. Just know that they had a very large shadow that they had to overcome. And we have to be in the right position because our position also affects the shadow. You know, if we were to actually think about the sun, you know, when the sun is directly above us, you actually have little to no shadow. When it's early in the morning, when it's later in the evening, when the sun is at the most extreme angle, that's when we know that the shadow is going to be the longest. So we need to know the position that we need to be in. We need to know the time that we need to function, and we need to move. There are some things that we want that might actually have an expiration. Some of us may have a once in a lifetime opportunity, and it's just that, once in a lifetime. So we need to know when to move, but we also need to know when to be still, when to remain where we are, because our position and timing affects the amount of light that we're able to receive or produce, but it also affects our shadow. Remember, you cannot outrun yourself, okay? If you want to be in the light, anticipate a shadow. Strive to be transparent. When you really know yourself, we will never be perfect. We will never be flawless. But the more we know about ourselves, the more we hold ourselves accountable, the more systems that we have in place, that's like becoming more and more transparent. And that's what allows the light to travel through. Today is day number 405 for me. I have been running for the last 405 days. That's one of my systems to overcome the shadow of me not being in shape. And because of that, yesterday, I'm proud to say, yet day number 404, yesterday I got on the scale. For the first time in over a year, I saw that first number in my weight change. It went from a 2 to a 1, and that's due to 405 days of rise and grind. Certain foods are my shadow, a certain lifestyle are my shadow. So I identified what they were, which made myself more transparent, and that allowed the light to travel through me. That cut down on my shadow. You cannot outrun yourself. It's your shadow. Remember, I'm a teacher, not a speaker. Have an amazing day.